This podcast is for financial professional use only and is not intended for use with the public. Material is for informational purposes only and is not intended to provide tax, legal, or investment advice. The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of Ash Brokerage. Welcome to Accumulation to Activation, the podcast that breathes life into your retirement planning strategies. If you're an advisor aiming to elevate your practice, deepen client relationships, and stay ahead of retirement income trends, we'll help you capture the opportunities on your doorstep and increase your impact. Each episode, we'll unpack the forces reshaping our industry, from the $44 trillion generational wealth transfer and the evolution of income planning to behavioral shifts, legislative updates, and breakthrough solutions that redefine financial security. Here are your hosts, Mike McGlothlin and Tim Ash.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Accumulation to Activation, where we talk about all types of different things from regulation all the way down to sales ideas and things that can help advisors grow their business and create stickiness with their clients. So welcome back, Tim. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and appreciate this time with you, and also being out there educating our advisors in the area of income planning and many other topics. So great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in.
So one of the trends that we see from LIMRA and IRI and many different surveys is in 2025, there's one financial planner for every 448 Americans. And by 2035, there's going to be only one financial planner for every 1,038 Americans. And so being able to serve that middle market efficiently and effectively is going to be a huge challenge for our industry over the next decade. But we have a lot of different things that we can deploy and to help. But just what do you think are some of the major issues that advisors should be talking to their clients about when they're addressing middle America?
Yeah, the middle America market has probably the most risk of any demographic because they can't make a mistake with how they allocate their money to last the remainder of their lifetime. And when I think of when you share the numbers that you did, the number of clients that are going to need to be served is going up dramatically because of the lack of advisors being in market to support them. So I think of immediately how can I be more efficient as a financial planner, as a financial advisor, and the tools and the technology that are going to be needed is one thing, but the other is understanding the demographic and longevity, which we've talked about in prior podcasts, is a topic. Healthcare and retirement is, and Social Security planning is another big topic. And lastly, that with that longevity component, converting assets into lifetime guaranteed income to supplement that so that their lifestyle can be maintained, pay for the bills that need to be paid. And then I also like to think, the next generation behind mom and dad, which advisors are they going to want to work with? And it's the ones that have helped mom and dad do the planning around lifetime income, around healthcare, around wealth transfer, around all of these, these swirling things that come into play. But the mass affluent market is large. It's only going to get larger. And we talked about that on the prior episode of the number of people. It used to be 10,000 a day turning 65. Well, now that number, we're at the peak, which is 12,000. So I'll turn it back over to you, but those are the things that are front of mind for me, and having a practice that supports that mass affluent investor is where I would be putting I'd putting my stake in the ground.
Yeah. There's a great nationwide client survey out there. It's out on the internet. They do this every year, but 92% of every generation, and even the millennial generation, 92% want more information about how to coordinate Social Security with their guaranteed income, with their 401k and stuff like that. But the scary thing, and it's also an opportunity for everybody in this marketplace, is that 84% of Americans will leave their financial planner in the next 10 years if they don't have that conversation. So just a great, great opportunity to go out and educate people on Social Security, that guaranteed income. How does it fit in with everything else that you're doing? And also, Tim, I completely agree with your point. Within the middle America, there's like such a small room for error. And many of these decisions are irrevocable, and you've got to do a lot of planning in those 5 to 10 years before you're activating your retirement. And that takes a lot of care. That takes a lot of decision making, but also really sitting down with clients and the family to understand what do they want to get accomplished now? What do they want to get accomplished to the next generation and maybe even to the generation below that? Now, we have some great strategies. One of the best ones right now with the current interest rate environment is annuity arbitrage. We're having phenomenal success. I know that you've sat down with some clients, but for those of you who are not familiar with annuity arbitrage, or some people call it annuity max, today's high interest rates create really high payout rates for annuities and income riders. That's allowing us to generate 30, 40, some cases 70% higher payout rates, which can now be used to purchase life insurance for the next generation. So, Tim, you kind of want to put a bow onto that a little bit further?
Sure. Take annuity arbitrage or annuity max and think of it as a way to get a higher guaranteed income to your client while preserving the asset for the next generation so that they can step into dealing with their future retirement. So, and I have asked this question on other podcasts and when we do webinars and other things around educating our advisors, is to ask the client, what would you be happy with a 5% or a 6% or a 6.5% guaranteed rate of return for your life and have the asset you contribute that's producing that return go to your family 100% fully income tax free? And when you ask those kinds of questions to clients, it's going to open a dialogue. And I think that's where we're able to help navigate. And it can be going back to the Social Security question. Advisors may go, my gosh, I'm busy enough as it is today. How am I possibly going to learn this, teach that, promote this? And that's where we come into play. You know, our retirement income consultants are here, and are also our advanced marketing team, what we call RAMP, on the annuity side, can help you build an income plan, help you build a legacy plan, help build a long-term care plan. These are the things that I would say you're not going it alone as an advisor. And those clients that are in that mass affluent, my goodness, they need that guidance and advice. The person with 5 million of assets or 10 million of assets is probably going to be okay. But someone with 750,000 to $1.5 million, if an event strikes or interest rates aren't cooperating, healthcare shows up, these are the people that we can serve and serve in a big way. Annuity arbitrage, which is the question you asked, is just one of the tools that we have to say, how do we take advantage of the annuity interest rate environment where it is to convert a portion of their assets into lifetime income, use part of it to spend, but part of it to replace the asset. We're seeing those returns that I mentioned earlier, 5.5% to 6.5% on those assets guaranteed for their life, and the corpus goes back to the family. So in a nutshell, that's annuity arbitrage, and let our teams do design for you, and we're happy to show you how it's done.
Yeah, I think that with the arbitrage and with what the ramp team is doing from a annuity performance review, uh, that annuity arbitrage is critically important, I think, in a qualified marketplace, because we're going to see a 40% erosion of qualified monies just due to income taxation. And having that life insurance, that corpus, replace that IRA and do so on a completely income tax free and estate tax free if properly titled, makes perfect sense for so many Americans. And one of your best producers always says, do you want to make the government your beneficiary, your charitable, or your family? And this is a great way to take the government out of the equation. On a non-qualified basis, I think using some of that capital that we free up gives us an opportunity to move to asset-based long-term care, which is probably one of the greatest risks in longevity. 70%, I think, is the stat that a husband and wife at age 65, there's a 70% chance that one or both are going to use some type of long-term care event in their lifetime. And so being able to find those dollars is going to be super important, because at $750,000, you don't have the $5 million to do this and this and this. You've got to be super, super efficient with that client money. Talk about protecting healthcare. I know that just a phenomenal growth in our overall business with Medicare Solutions and the concierge service, but that cost is not going to be stable. It's going to increase, and being able to have a resource for that's going to be super important as well.
Well, I have been talking about this topic to the Ash Brokerage team, as well as any advisor that will, give me the podium to do so. When clients turn 65, they're inundated with information, right? So I like to refer to this as having a healthcare in retirement conversation, and aligning with the right partners that can equip you as an advisor to serve those clients. So whether it's around Medicare or prescription drug plans, or Med Advantage, or long-term care, or home health care, or assisted living, these are all of the things that your clients, and it doesn't matter if it's the mass affluent market or the high net worth or even the ultra high net worth, they want to know what are the people that are surrounding me, my advisors, helping me with in that stressful moment in their life. And that care coordination, just in and of itself, just purchasing the minimum amount of long-term care, home health care with the right insurance company that has the ability to provide care coordination, that when that phone rings or you get that phone call and say, I don't know what to do, mom just had a stroke, we're going to need some help. And that might mean putting a ramp in at the house. It might mean putting other things in the house to make it safer. It might mean having someone showing up every other day or every day. What's your plan? And to me, the financial advisor that is able to manage assets, manage healthcare, and all of the components with it is going to have a more valuable practice to transfer, to sell, to have someone take over. That, to me, it kind of all plays together. And yes, I am going to sound like a commercial. I want to, because these are the services that we can help equip your firm with without you having to invest capital to do it. We're a resource.
No, you bring up a great line that I love from Bob Berg, the author of Go Giver. He always talks about, if you're competing on price, you're a commodity. But if you're dealing with value, you become a resource. And you talked about resource there several different times. And by providing that resource with care coordination, you become that value proposition for so many different families. One other thing that I think is important as we think about different carriers and some of their different capabilities, So many people will use trust, living trust, those types of things for holding their assets. One of the greatest tools, I think, is the ability to do in-kind transfers on annuities on trust owned, because some carriers can actually do this and others can't. So as you're talking with your representatives and with the sales desk, you need to make sure, hey, this is going to be trust owned, but I want to make sure this happens to the next generation. But you can actually just take that annuity out and rename it to the beneficiary, and that continues the tax deferred growth. And so now you've got control to the next generation, and you're not impacting at a current income tax, because so many times those people, when they receive it, are in their peak earning years, and now they can continue the deferral, and then they can turn that into a lifetime income. So many things that are flexible with annuities, with retirement income planning, that you just need to get specific with the efficiency and the effective of the dollars that you have. So, Tim, we're kind of close to time here, but if you want to kind of put a bow on this segment here, and what's the best thing that you took out of this?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts, and I would be asking the client and asking yourself, what's the purchasing power of your client's assets? What's the purchasing power? So if they're in cash-like instruments, bonds, equities, and they may not have lifetime income, why don't we show the client how to unlock part of their assets to get the most out of those assets to produce things like long-term care or home health care or guaranteed lifetime income? That to me would be asking that question, what's that purchasing power that you have? The other thing I would say, how do we convert tax deferred gain into tax-free healthcare? There are a lot of clients that you may have sold annuities to that have a big deferred gain in it. Well, in the right type of annuity products with long-term care riders, if a benefit is triggered, the gain comes out tax-free. So the Pension Protection Act was a great thing. Be sure you're talking to your clients that might have that pent-up gain. That might be another way to address the healthcare conversation, because it is about leverage. It is about arbitrage, whether it's income, interest rate, or tax. So we can help you navigate those conversations.
Great wrap up. And I always remember there's somewhere in the neighborhood like $475 to $525 billion of fixed annuities on carriers' assets that have that built up tax deferred growth. Great market. We just need to ask for those assets that are held away. So, Tim, thank you again for your time. If you like and enjoy this podcast, please like and subscribe it. And also go to ashbrokerage.com for additional education events about annuities, life insurance, long-term care, Medicare solutions, and also disability insurance. So thank you for listening, and have a terrific day.
This episode of Accumulation to Activation was produced by Ash Brokerage. For more on the most pressing and critical issues facing financial advisors today, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a colleague. For more resources, visit us at ashbrokerage.com or reach out to our team at 800-589-3000. Let's start a strategic conversation about how you can be more efficient with your retirement income and legacy planning solutions. Insurance product guarantees are subject to the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurer. Annuities are insurance contracts and may be subject to fees, surrender charges, caps, spreads, participation rates, and tax implications. Withdrawals are taxable and, if taken prior to age 59 and a half, may be subject to an additional tax. Product availability and features vary by state and carrier. Social Security and tax rules are complex and subject to change. Clients should consult their tax and Social Security advisors. Any modeling or Monte Carlo analysis referenced is based on stated assumptions and are illustrative only. Results vary by client profile, market conditions, and product selection. Past or modeled results are not guarantees of future outcomes.